Hi viewers, welcome to the Grammar Channel. Today we are listening to a poem Laburnum Top. Laburnum Top written by Ted Hughes. Laburnum Top written by Ted Hughes. The poem describes a mutual relationship between a laburnum tree, which is large, beautiful, but quite alone, and a goldfinch bird, which is quite amusing, beautiful, but without a shelter. The laburnum tree lets the goldfinch bird and its young ones to nestle and in turn takes away its dead silence. The poet has used the laburnum tree and goldfinch as a symbol of life and its fluctuations. In this poem, Laburnum Top, the poet describes how the visit of a goldfinch changes the laburnum tree. The goldfinch transforms the tree and makes it come alive as the chicks of the goldfinch start to rustle and chirp on seeing her. Once the goldfinch leaves the tree, it becomes quiet and still again. The laburnum tree symbolizes the pattern of our life in general, which is usually dull and inanimate. The goldfinch breaks the usual pattern and makes it lively. Without the goldfinch, the laburnum tree is just like another tree. In other words, it is the attitude of a person towards life that makes life meaningful and worth living. We'll move on to the theme of the poem Laburnum Top. It is written by Ted Hughes, the poem Laburnum Top. It is about the relationship between the laburnum tree and the goldfinch bird. The tree is yellow, silent, and death-like. It becomes alive by the bird and her young ones. The yellow bird has her shelter on the tree where she feeds her young ones. But as soon as the bird flies into the sky, the tree becomes silent and death-like again. In this poem, the poet talks about the mutual relationship of a laburnum tree and the goldfinch who built its nest in it. The main theme of the poem is mutual benefit. The tree, which is still in its position, comes to life by the chirping and swift movement of the bird and its chicks. On the other hand, the bird and her young ones get space to live in. Now we'll move on to the stanza-wise explanation. First stanza, the poet describes a beautiful sunny autumn. The laburnum tree is silent and still. It is laden with yellow leaves and yellow flowers in September. Its leaves have turned yellow because of the autumn season and all its seeds have fallen. Stanza 2. Just then a goldfinch alights on the laburnum tree, making short, high-pitched sounds. The goldfinch has her nest in the tree and her chicks were resting in the nest. On the mother's return, a sudden movement stirs the tree. Her little ones are excited on her arrival and start chirping. The cautious mother enters the tree with great care so that no predator can come to know that her babies are household in the nest. The poet has compared the alert, abrupt, and sleek movement of the goldfinch with that of a lizard. The goldfinch has been called the engine of her family. Just as the engine starts up the machine, her arrival in the nest has suddenly started up the silent machine, that is, nest here in the poem. The young ones have started chittering and making noise. By feeding her young ones, she has added fuel to the machine, and as a result, the chicks now have the energy to be active and they start to make noise. After feeding her chicks, the goldfinch flies up and rests on the end of a branch of a tree, her identity concealed behind the yellow flowers and the yellowing leaves. Stanza 3. After some time, the goldfinch makes a strange, short, high-pitched sound. Then she flies away towards the infinite sky. The laburnum tree becomes silent again after the departure of the goldfinch, and everything seems to be the same as it was before the arrival of the goldfinch. Let's move on to the summary. Laburnum Top. The poet Ted describes his experience of what he witnesses in the laburnum tree. It begins by describing how the leaves of the tree are yellow. Moreover, he notices that The tree top is still and remains silent even in the month of September. Due to the autumn season, the tree has lost all its leaves and the seeds are on the ground. Most noteworthy, the poet uses yellow to describe both the color of the leaves and the sunlight. Yellow represents silence, death, and beauty. Thus, he uses this color and describes the whole setting perfectly. After that, he notices that the death like scene of the tree comes to an end when a goldfinch bird perches on it. The tree makes a sudden chirrup sound upon the bird's arrival. The poet compares the quickness, speed, alertness of the bird to that of a lizard. When she starts moving towards the thickness of the branch, the nestlings start chirring and flapping their wings. Thus, due to this movement, the tree also starts shaking and thrilling. Viewers, we notice that how the poet gives two contrasting scenarios while describing the tree. First, it was death-like tree, and then it gains life after the bird lands on it. Further, the poet finally realizes that the goldfinch bird and the tree are the engines of the bird's family. When she brings food for the little ones, she moves to the end of the other branch. He describes the bird's appearance. It has a striped face which is dark in color. The goldfinch's body is yellow and thus blends in with the yellow leaves of the tree. Finally, after reaching the branch end, she makes rather a sweet chirping sound. The poet compares this sound to whispering as she flies away in the limitless sky. Thus, after the bird leaves the tree, the laburnum tree once again becomes silent and deathlike. We learn about the sweet and nurturing relationship between the tree and the bird and how they both play such important role in their lives. We'll move on to the highlights of the poem, The Laburnum Top. Laburnum Top is a beautiful poem by Ted Hughes. In this poem, the poet has used the laburnum trees and the goldfinches as a symbol of life and its fluctuations. He describes the visiting of goldfinches on the laburnum tree and how she made a nest on it. When the goldfinches have chicks, it brings alive the tree as the chicks start to rustle and chirp. Hughes is trying to convey the message that life is a process of exchange and transformation. People are alive because they undergo an exchange of energy. The goldfinches transform the tree and make it alive. Without the goldfinch and the chicks, the laburnum is just like any other tree. The poem examines and articulates the interrelationship between the soul and the body through common symbols of bird and tree. Though the body and the soul can be separate entities, they are absolutely complementary to each other. One without the other is incomplete. It is in the interaction between the two lies the beauty, vigor, and perfection of existence. Thus, the poem shows the states of existence both in the separation of the body and soul, beginning and end of the poem, and the middle of the poem, that is union. She visits her young ones to feed them and assure them that she is there. It pretends a yellow color in the background of the laburnum leaves, which speaks of warm but fading sunlight. It also indicates that the mother goldfinch has to fly far away at the close of autumn season. She also has to ensure a warm and secure winter for her young ones. The laburnum tree symbolizes the pattern of our life in general. Life is seemingly dull and inanimate, but it is the attitude of a person towards life that makes it meaningful and worth living. The goldfinch brings cheer, happiness to the simple and inanimate surroundings. Its happiness is infectious and all encompassing. The message that we learn from the poem The Laburnum Top is the poet wants to tell the readers about the importance of living with each other. Every person has different capabilities and qualities. We should live with each other and always try to lend a helping hand so that the others also do the same in times of need.